He has a father and a grandfather, legendary coaches back home. He knows playbooks like the back of his hand. When he was a little kid, kids would be playing in sandboxes. Peyton Thorne observing his dad's and grandfather's playbook. He showed some good ball handling there, and then airs it out. Perfect pass and a touchdown from Thorne to Jalen Naylor. That's one of the best plays the Spartans have run in a while. 45 yards for the touchdown. Everything they wanted on that play. You got great pass protection. We can say kick the back end on the left side, protection. Beat the man coverage on the outside. Naylor, fast man. He is a sprint champ from Las Vegas, and he just ran by the coverage. First, the Spartans' hope of many for Peyton Thorne. Career touchdown pass for the redshirt freshman.
I gotta get something for Jerry.
I like your hat.
What?
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Look
Does
terrible,
that
but
bother
that's all
you?
right.
Remind me, everybody who's here early, I'm going to stop recording because this is just getting set up. Nobody reminded me about the recording and I couldn't have heard you anyway. So we're recording. So you'll get the preamble. Anyway, so what this is about is the shapes, the big shapes. And that's how you start a painting, right? You don't get out your little brush and you don't start a painting that way. I'm going to spotlight me actually. Um, you don't get out your little brush and start painting. Uh, you have the big shapes. You've seen a ton of videos where artists that you like, artists that you admire, and they start their painting. They do a pretty good drawing, and they start their painting, and they're putting in these big washes all over everything. They're putting in a wash for the sky and the background and the underpainting and all that other stuff. Uh, so how do you see those big shapes? I keep saying squint your eyes. You've heard a lot of this stuff before. Squint your eyes to see the big shapes because it gets rid of all the detail. So that's one way to do it. People have trouble doing that. Uh, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know when I started doing it, but somebody told me that once and it kind of worked. Or I read about it, or I found out about it. So it gets rid of the detail. It makes everything blurry. I used to do these things. I used to take for teaching purposes, I used to take a setup and I used to blur it in Photoshop. So I got rid of the detail and then I was left with the shapes. So I found a new way to me. I haven't seen this on YouTube, but I'm on there a lot. I haven't seen it on Pinterest. But to find the big shapes, let me back up a second. I'm a commercial artist. I went to art school. I spent a lot of years in the business. Now I've got a marketing company, so I kind of do both. Uh, my my sweet spot are logo development, things like that, design. So I consider myself more of a designer than a painter. That's the executional side of it. Anyway, so I like graphic, and I think that's an appropriate word. It's, oh, it looks so graphic. Well, that means it's shapes, and they're usually simple shapes, and they're usually flat color. You could have collage be a design piece because you're using colored paper. It's all one color. And so if I could figure out a way to get the dominant shapes of a graphic piece of art and just ape it, just paint, just copy it. Only I use watercolor as my medium, and all the gifts that watercolor gives you, like blooms and salt and outside influences and scraping and wet and wet on dry and dry on dry and all those things. Then I could make the same painting, only I could make it a watercolor painting. I'm using the same shapes, I'm using the same design. So we're going to do at least 3 paintings today. I'm going to say complete paintings using those shapes. And I'll put those up on screen. I'm assuming you can all see me. Wave your hand if you can see me. Yeah, okay, cool. And you can hear me. Obviously.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're gonna, and I put stuff in the reference folder for you. Those of you who have been on a workshop before are familiar with Cluster. It's a place where you can post your art from this workshop for comment. And you can also remove them after comment if you so desire. So it's a private photo sharing website, and it will be up for at least a couple of weeks after this. And that's where you can go. And on Cluster, I have a workshop titled Graphic to Watercolor. And that's where I put all the reference for this. I sent you guys a handout, and that's what I'm going to start with, is doing the handout. So if that all makes sense, it probably doesn't yet, but I hope it will. We're going to paint shapes, and we're going to paint them with watercolor. We're not going to paint them with colored paper or gouache or flat color. We're going to let the watercolor do its thing. So, i.e. Nita Engel, how to make a watercolor paint itself. I'm going to share my screen now. And I am sharing my whole screen and you guys are all over here. And this is the handout that I sent you and I want to share that. All these things that you're looking at here, and I'm kicking myself in the head for not figuring this out sooner, like a couple of decades ago, maybe. This is what I want you to do when you squint. I want you to see all those big shapes. And this painting, which I did in watercolor from this graphic, this painting is the same but quite different, only because I used watercolor and I could scrape it and it granulated and it did its thing and it went, it just is a much to me, I like both of these. I like the graphic and I like this. So this inspired this. This little graphic down here inspired this. And this graphic inspired this. And so that's very important to me to be able to have you guys get that. Here's reference I supplied. And these I like the designs of, even though I'm a rule of thirds guy and the horizon line goes right through the damn middle. I hate that, but I don't mind this. Anyway, I changed it when I painted it. I think I raised it here and I think I raised it here. Anyway, so those two pieces are reference, which I sent you, and these two pieces are reference that I sent you. We're going to be painting all three of these today to get you to hopefully to get you to discover that it's all about the big shapes. I'm going to also I put this in here too because I want to show you how this evolved by using this graphic as a, by the way, Gary, we can use all these graphics. They're off of Pixabay. So for those of you who don't know who Pixabay is, Pixabay, Pixabay, is a stock photo site where you can use, it's a no attribution site. That means you can use any one of their photos that's posted on that site for inspiration or reference or anything you want. You're not going to get sued because it's a free, at no attribution stock photo site. Anyway, so there's what I sent you for a handout.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm going to, wait a minute. I'm going to say, how do I do that? How do I unmute all? You can unmute yourself. If anybody has a question, now's the time.
How do you spell Pixabay?
Pixabay. And
Joe, quick. Okay, sorry. When you designed that, the first one that you did, do you design that to the finish and then from there, that's when you start painting it or at the same time?
well, I had these, I got these,
George.
I didn't do all of
Can you
these.
bring me a banana? I'm starving.
This one and this one, come on up, and this one, these three guys. I got these two from Pixabay, these two. And Gary asked me about this one. This I found just on a search. And it was from some young Korean artist named Minimal Sky. That's what I should do is rename myself. I'm going to be Maximum Sky. Anyway, so I redid this. I took the color palette, but it's my shapes, my people, my design, and I did this two ways. I did this vertically, which I did it horizontally. So just by using this as a reference for my design, there's my design. I have all my shapes. I have all my big shapes. I could do something like this with it. See,
Oh.
just by painting it in watercolor. That's what we're going to do. This is the fun part. This is going to be fun. So I just use these shapes, right? And I just painted it with watercolor and let watercolor do its thing. All this stuff that happens,
Beautiful.
all this stuff that happens in here. I just let watercolor do its thing. So that'll be fun. So I did that one, and this one, I did a vertical one, covering myself up here. So I did a vertical one. You don't have to do these for finish. What I was doing is just doing it to prove the point. So here I changed it. I changed this blue to a sand color. I kept the sky. I made the sky more gradated. I made that more colorful. I put a couple. I did whatever. But you can see where this came from. It came from here. I was already way ahead of the game. I'm sorry I'm getting excited because I was already way ahead of the game. All I had to do was paint. I didn't have to have a drink to settle down. All I had to do was paint because I had all this stuff figured out. So, and you can do these too, and I'll show you how to do them. Anyway, so that's where these came from. So we're painting all these guys today, and you can add, you can subtract. All mine don't look exactly like what that reference is. First of all, I made a more of a sun or glowy sky, warm to cool, lights coming from the left. Here's a little sparkly sea. I put some water in there. I put some rocks in there. I made this into a hillside. I did a lot of different stuff. Where are the birds? I don't know. Where's the boat? I don't know. Where are the people on the beach? I don't know. It's all left to be done. That's up to me. I'm just using this as inspiration, and I'm using it as design. See, I did raise the horizon line. Now I'm back to my rule of thirds, higher, lower. Anyway, so that's what I did, but I followed this pretty much, and I want you guys to follow it as far as the drawing is concerned. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. This one, I did raise the horizon line again. I think, yes. So here's this guy, and it translated to me. This is actually the first one I did doing this. So it translated to this. I wasn't too excited about this. Looks like buildings back here or a port. There's a breakwater. I left that out. I just like this big circle, this big swoopy sea curve. And instead of the rock, I put some grass. And instead of this, I put some trees. But it's basically the same one. I kind of missed a little bit on translating this exactly, but that's okay. I used this as, I kept this as simple. All this stuff that looks complicated, the watercolor painted, not me. I mean, I scraped a few things and I threw in a extra color at sometimes while it was wet, and then some dry over the wet and whatever. But anyway, so that's what you can do with it. So this will teach you to see the big shapes. Okay, unmute yourself if you have a question. No questions, good. So we've been through that. Here's two more examples, and they are in the cluster reference folder called Graphic to Watercolor. Here's one of them. And this is one I got off of Pixabay. And this one, it was pretty simple. I just did this because I wanted some hills and trees. So this is also on the reference folder. So this is kind of what I did with it. I used this as inspiration, and I just tried to copy it. Only I used watercolor, and I used my artistic sense. And so the tree's in the right place, blah, blah, blah. I started off putting these hills in and so on and so forth. And I moved this over from, this was too much in the middle for me. So I moved it over. And then I went from here to here. So now that I've made some of my artistic license decisions. Yes, you're all masters of the universe. Yes, you can leave stuff in, you can take stuff out, you can move stuff around. And yes, I don't have to use this palette. I could make this all blue. In fact, somebody did make it all blue in one of my classes. Instead of all warm, they made it all cool. So anyway, and this is my style. It's how I make trees. It's all that other stuff. But all this painted itself in watercolor, and I still like the design. And I love this little part right here. And that was kind of by accident, but that defined this whole foreground into that distant background and gave it some atmosphere. So I went from here to here to here. And I just used this as what color was left over, on my palette. And I just made a big stroke across. And then I put some of this in while it was still wet. So it painted itself. I left my horizon, which I tend to do. I put this in and I painted it as it was drying. And this led to this another waterfall, but it's me. So they all came from here. But I went from here to here, and now this is my interpretation of that. And this could be any place now. This is obviously in the mountains someplace. This could actually be in the canyons, or it could still be in the mountains or whatever. Anyway, so I have some hard edges up here. A lot of this is soft as it goes back, and it's pure back for me. It's pure design. So I like playing that way. I like playing with that. And we'll be doing some of that as a warm up. So anyway, that's what I did. I also found this as inspiration because I was looking for graphic. This is actually a collage. And I don't know who did this. I don't know if I got this off of a Pixabay, but it was a kind of an interesting design. That's why I liked it. I liked it because of the design. I like the difference in the different values of the blue. I like the cloud shape. I like this shape of the ocean and the shape of the sand and the sand and shadow or whatever. I like the whole thing graphically. I thought that this had too many gags in it. It's got an umbrella, it's got people, and it's got this boat out here. So I'm master of the universe. I don't have to put that boat in. I just sank the boat. And I have to decide because these people in the umbrella, especially at the opposite ends of the width of this, are really fighting with each other for my attention. So do I use people? Do I use an umbrella? Or do I use a boat? Some people used the people under the umbrella. Yay, that's a thought. Or multiple umbrellas or whatever. And I told them after they painted this, just take and cut out a bunch of umbrellas out of paper and move them around and put them on there and see how you like them. And maybe you could do the same thing with people. Anyway, so this is what I ended up with is this. And so I painted a sky and that was fun. And then I painted this shape and I painted this shape down here. And then that's just a piece of paper. I put a boat in. So that's just a piece of paper stuck there. I still haven't finished this painting. This is just my little demo painting. So this led to this. And I did have one with a bunch of umbrellas on it that I have in the book someplace. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. Graphic to watercolor. Now I will take questions. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to stop the share for a second and go back to gallery view and see if anybody has any questions about that.
I have a question. Some of them you look like you're painting them very angular. kind of like the graphics, and some of them look more soft like watercolor. I assume you could paint them any way you want?
That's you. Yes, that's
Okay.
your voice.
Okay,
Please do not paint like me. Paint like you. You
Okay.
can't help yourselves. You're going to find out. How, I mean, you can't help yourself. You are going to come out.
okay.
So, in fact, you just said that. I have a 6-minute and 43-second video to show you. Somebody remind me at the end on finding your voice. I find all this stuff on YouTube, and some of these people I subscribe to and some I don't, because there are a lot of nuggets in there about finding your voice and turning off all those little people that are talking in your head. Oh, you should really be doing this, or you should be doing that, or that sucks, or this is great, or whatever. So don't listen to them. Just listen to you and compare yourself to you. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to you. Oh, hey, this year my goal in 2021 is to learn how to draw better. Not paint. I've been painting long enough. I know a bunch of different techniques. I know a bunch of different styles. I want to be able to draw better so my paintings look more believable.
Mhm.
Oh, Eureka. Wow, that's a concept.
Question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. So you're responding to the color of these studies, or I mean,
No.
does the color
Not-
distract you from the value?
Yeah, I'm responding to the color, but basically I'm responding to the design.
Well, yeah, but there's a contrast too.
Yeah,
Consideration.
I like pretty bold graphic design stuff.
Mhm,
I like
mhm.
old travel posters. I like, because of the printing, they couldn't do the nuance printing, so they had to do. It's almost like I was almost going to do a workshop, and I still might this coming year, on what can we learn from Japanese woodblock prints,
Mhm,
because that was all about the shapes.
mhm.
I mean, they could add stuff, but they didn't have nearly the options that we do, painting in transparent watercolor and opaque watercolor. By the way, just so you know, if Sargent could use white opaque, it's okay if you can use white opaque, unless
Thank
you're
you.
on the board at Watercolor West or Transparent Watercolor of America or something. So anything to make a good painting. I'm of the fan of use Nathan Folks, James Gurney, transparent watercolor and opaque watercolor, both. I'll start off transparent and I'll end up with opaque if it needs it. So just to make that clear. So you have permission, at least today, blame it on me. So I'm going to go back to, Zoni, hi. You're muted.
I know you judge a lot of competitions, Joe. So, and you've said this in a few workshops. So do you judge watercolor based on transparency, or just the design and the concept? And
I judge by something connects. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's collage. I don't care if it's pot. I don't care if it's oil or acrylic or pastel or watercolor. I don't care. Does the painting work? And to me, design is everything. I will say that, and I will go to my grave saying that design is everything. And that's shapes, that's value, that's color, that's subject, that's everything that's included in that two-dimensional image, or in some cases three-dimensional. But to me, that's why I say I'm a designer, not a painter. To me, or an illustrator, I get my kicks out of designing it, and then the magic is done. The mystery's over, and now I have to execute. So that's where I see strengths and weaknesses. And when I judge a show, and it's like all of us, and you go through your Facebook pages, you go through the latest museum stuff, and you always have two roads. Wow, that's really cool. I've never seen that before. Or how the hell did that get in the show? That's that's awful. That's amateurish or whatever you want to say about it. But usually I want to be surprised. I want to see something that I've never seen before. That's just that's more executional than thinking it up. Oh, what can I paint? What subject can I paint that's really different? So I just like to be surprised. And usually I'm harshest. I have to be honest. I'm harshest on, I don't want to, when I judge a show, if your stuff looks like what I do, you're already over here someplace because I've already seen that. I know a lot of people who enter shows and they look to see who's judging and says, oh, I can get in that show because I paint like they do, or they paint like I do. And that's usually kind of the opposite. So I'll give you a secret there. At least that's just me. So good, bad, or indifferent, that's just me. But I just react from my gut, from my heart, as something resonates. So anyway, I'm going to go back to share, and I'm going to go through how I discovered some of this stuff. Oh, by the way, this is our warm up. So I'm going to use some stuff. I've already mentioned his name. So I don't care whether you paint video. Why did I write that down? Oh, send video, voice, and Pixabay. I'll give you the links to that too. Okay. Where was I? This warm up stuff. A lot of us paint, at least I do, I paint landscapes, but it's not about the landscape. I just like the landscape because I feel close to it. I feel closer to it than I do cities because I like the boonies. And I like the mountains better than the beaches, but that's just me. Still lifes, figures, cityscapes, landscapes, they're all the same to me. They're all shapes, aren't they? They're all just a bunch of shapes, and the shapes are arranged in a certain way, and that's called composition. I don't like that word. I'd much rather use design. And the reason that how design works are shapes defined by values. I don't care, Susan, you asked me about color. I don't care about the color. I care about the value of the color. And that's Stan Miller. And he's got an excellent little video on it. It's about the value of the color. It's not about the color, the hue. Anyway, so these are little color plays. So one of my heroes, which, by the way, if you want to get a great book, I got this the next day. I'm going to go back to stop share, and I'm going to go back to me again. And if you want to get a pin, cancel, just make me, yeah.
Where are you going?
Here we go. This is a great book. This is by one of my, I know him, I've taken a workshop from him when he used to be at LA Fig. This is Nathan Folks, Land Sketch. This book is about $22, I think. And it's how to paint landscapes quickly and beautifully. And I will give you a link to that. My list is growing. I'll give you a link to that. Several of these people that I paint with, Diane, you've already got this book. Anyway, it's a fabulous book, and he's a landscape painter, and that's who we're going to use as inspiration today. And I'll show you how that works, and that's when we're going to start to paint. So I'll give everybody a chance to do that. Here is something that I'm going to put up. It is in the cluster reference file, but I'm going to put this up anyway to start with. but I'm going to leave it on my screen when I start painting. See these little things? These are painted with watercolor, transparent and opaque. And they just suggest, in fact, somebody said, I call these suggested landscapes. And somebody in class yesterday said, oh, that's a great term. Use that, suggested landscapes. So they're suggesting light, or they're suggesting peeking through the trees, or they're suggesting whatever, a road or whatever it happens to be. So I'm going to leave that up, and I'm going to paint to those when it's time. Here's stuff that I have done from those. And this is just making stuff up. And these are small. These are actually quite small. I don't know why my beach ball is doing that, but I don't like it. There we go. Anyway, so this is just laying down some color, and I have a blue and I have an orange and I have, and just by those first few strokes, I wasn't trying to paint a landscape, but that kind of looks like a landscape to me. And those colors go really well together. So I'm going to file that away in my brain. And this is the same thing. This could be a floral thing. These start to suggest landscapes, just done very quickly. And then this is from actually yesterday. This was kind of cool. It was kind of interesting. If it opens, hello. Hello. Oh, I froze. Everybody froze. Damn it. You're all frozen. Okay, now you're back. This was from yesterday, and these are great fun to do. They're just little, oh, you all froze again. Okay. Now you're back. These are great fun to do, and I'll show you these. I'm done. I'm going to get out of this because I'm starting to freeze. Don't know why, but I am. So I'm going to continue sharing. I want to make sure that I'm recording. Yes, still recording. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, and I'm going to go over to my board and start painting for those of you who wanted to go someplace else and start painting. Here we go. Goody. Okay, and you can all see that, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you can
Yes.
see my water, you can see everything, and that will be,
I think we're still seeing your shared screen too in the background.
yeah, you'll see that.
Okay.
Because I have other things to post. So I will turn on some lights so you guys can see this, see it mo better. This is the size pad that I'm going to be using for these, so it will fit on here pretty well. I'm going to bring these guys up to the side just for something to, and you guys can see all that, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, here's this little book I found. This is, and I will send you the link to this. This is an Arteza, and it's the expert one of this. This is a 140-pound cold press. In fact, there's where that came from. There's the size of that for somebody who was asking before. And that's the size of that one. So we're not going to be painting that huge. Here are those little things I was telling you about, these little color plays, the suggested landscapes. Here's some more. These are just two colors. This one just started with a swipe of the blue, and then I put a little swipe of the brown. This is just burnt sienna and ultramarine. And so then that left that white. And then I get a couple of more swipes, and then that turned into this meadow full of snow. And this one, I wanted the opposite. I put a diagonal here and I put a diagonal here, and I left this as paper and so on and so forth. Here, this was all a crucifix, horizontal and vertical. So you're kind of looking through the trees. And here's what I ended up with on these guys. And they're all just suggested. And I will paint, I'll paint some of those. By the way, so you can see, this is actually the size of this one. So it's not very large. Here's my hand. Here's the brush I probably painted with, which is 3/4 inch. And these are what I'm painting now. These little small color plays. So you can see that they're very similar to what's to the left. So I've already taped this off. I've got a couple left on the bottom here, and I've got a couple left on the top here. I'm gonna have to, that's okay. I'll just leave it the way it is. Anyway, these books, if you want, somebody can unmute and say, yes, I want the, yes, I want these books. They come 3 in a pack for about $20. And they're 5.5 by 8. Hello? Hello?
Joe, 5.5 by what?
They're 5.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
So they're a nice size. I mean, this is you can learn a lot by painting these guys, as opposed to, you can learn a lot by painting these guys. So in fact, do these look familiar? Look to your left.
Oh, yeah.
There's the top row right there. And then I picked another one and another one. Somebody's getting feedback. Somebody's getting feedback. Anyway, so this is a great way to just get warmed up.
We should all mute.
And I'm going to use a 3/4 brush.
That larger spiral.
And I'm not sure. Participants. Hey, we have 42. Wow, we broke a record for me.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so let's paint something. And here's the way I paint. And I'm going to use a little. I'm going to use my pad. Because this is a sheet of paper that this is a sheet of paper that I can't paint flat. I don't know what that is.
Somebody needs to mute.
Is that me? Something is happening.
Joe, there's a feedback loop happening. If you go to your audio settings, there's something called echo cancellation. I had this problem with you the first time I took a class, and it was me that was causing the feedback. And then I just went into settings and hit that echo cancellation, and that stopped the problem.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why it is happening. Oh, I think I see what's happening. It's my QuickTime player. is doing something. But I haven't had that happen before either. Let me see if I can fix that. Can you still hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, I wonder why it's doing it over.
Yes, and it's clear.
Yeah, I'm in front of the computer. I'm not over here, so I'm just going to paint. Anyway, I'm using this. I'm using this as a backing because I want to use Mr. Gravity. Mr. Gravity is very important. It's what makes watercolor work. And everybody can see this, I'm assuming. Yes. So I'm going to look at some of those that he has on his. Do
you have two devices open?
I haven't had this happen before, of course.
Yeah.
Do you have two devices open?
Do I have the device open?
Two devices, two of them, like a phone and an iPad or computer and an iPad.
No, I don't have the phone. I do have a mic. Let me try to unplug that.
Maybe going to turn off one of them, then the sound.
Yeah, how about this? How about this? I'm not hearing any feedback.
It sounds okay now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a little mic up here. I think that's what was picking it up. So anyway, I'm starting off with these guys here. And I'm just going to pick, I don't care what the color is. I'm just going to pick a cool color. And I'm doing suggested landscapes. And don't beat yourself up on these. You're going to have a whole page full of these. And I'm suggesting that you do these as a little exercise to just warm up when you're painting. So I'm just going to make a stroke there as a blue. And let's see what goes with blue. I'm going to just make another stroke and I'm going to go right through here. And there's orange. And now what is that going to suggest to me? I don't know yet. I haven't gotten that far into it. But I'm going to use some burnt sienna. And I'm going to go right through here. And so now that's all of a sudden that's starting to suggest something to me. Not quite sure what yet, but it could be a field. It could be a river, a creek going through there. Let's just put down a stroke and see what happens. So now I've got some purple, and I'm going to put some maybe some trees along the edge there. So now I'm suggesting a landscape, huh? That didn't take very long to suggest a landscape. And I can go back in here if I get fussy. I can go back in here and I can put some little scrape marks so I can try to make something out of that. I can use a darker color. And I'm going to say, okay, I got a bank over here and I got something over here. And maybe this is a field, so I'm going to contaminate my palette and I'm going to just bring a little of this color up into here. And I think I'm going to leave that alone. We're done. We've been painting for less than a minute and we're done. There we go. Cool. So let's do another one. I'm going to do another one from what I see over here, this kind of a glowy glowy kind of palette. This is where you really get good at figuring out these darks and lights. So I'm just going to put a swap of something there, and I'm going to put something going on down here. That kind of looks like a tree overhanging that. And so maybe there's a tree coming into play there. Make that darker. Yeah, real dark. Look at how cool the watercolor just starts painting itself. I'm not doing much to that at all. Okay, I got a couple more that I can warm up with. I'm gonna put some, yeah, I'll put some orange across the top of that. Why not? Maybe a little lighter.
Do you limit yourself to 2 or 3 colors?
No, I'm trying to just keep it simple and get it down fairly quickly. So in a way, yes, I am. I like a limited palette.
So you don't just think shapes, you think also value.
Oh, always. Shapes are defined by value.
What was that tool that you were using to scrape there?
That's just a poor man's palette knife. It's I got it at Michael's or someplace like that. You get like 3 of them for or 5 of them for like $3. But that's the only one that I've seen that I like that works.
So you mostly just use flat brushes, I notice.
Yes, that's mostly what I use. I'll do one more quick one. use a contaminated palette here, just and I would definitely use a bigger brush as opposed to a smaller brush,
Right.
even for doing these this size. And what I do is once I have enough color on there, I just take the tape off, and always makes it better because it's gets rid of the mess. And you have a big mess when you start these. You know, and then you can make adjustments. You can say, oh, I kind of like where that's going, or if I would just do this or add a little bit of this or knock this back or adjust a little bit. And not all of these are going to work, but it's time to be judgmental later, not now. Just paint. Don't think, just paint. Tape's been on here for a while, I see. It's not coming off too easily.
I have a question about your scraping.
Uh-huh.
When do you, how dry or how wet do you want the paint to be before you scrape it?
It's got to be
Moist.
it's got to be half dry.
Half dry.
If you scrape too soon, what's going to happen is you're actually squeegeeing the paint. So it's going to just run back together, and it won't have any effect. If you scrape too late, nothing's going to happen because it's going to be too dry. So anyway, I got to fix this one little part where I ripped the paper, of course. Fix it with anything just so I can see this again. So this is and this is where I use, oh, I see some light happening here. So this is where I use my white paint, and I can just put a little bit out of the bottle, and I can say, I kind of like what's happening here. I kind of like this light going on. So I'm going to make it a little lighter. And I like what happened in this snow back here. So what would happen if I put a couple of little trees back there, just to liven that up a little bit. And I kind of like where this one was going too. That got pretty complicated. I think I'll take some of that out. It's kind of swampy, actually. might be kind of swampy. This one is pretty cool actually because it's so simple. So you can kind of see that you can get a wide variety of suggestions. Let's put it that way. I think that line helped that. Let's open this up a little bit. That light really is coming down through there. This one, yeah, that's okay. I like these three. I don't like this one, so that's what happens. Oops. You have to be kidding me. My cap just, this paint just rolled under the taboret, of course. It could have rolled any place, but. It's not me. Anyway, do you guys get this?
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to warm up.
Yes.
And to discover a bunch of stuff happening. So the one I don't like, I'm gonna, let's see what I can do to change it completely. So I have some white paint and I have some of this. And I'm just gonna go over it. This is the advantage of having this white opaque. And maybe put a few negative painting sky holes here. Well, I don't think anything's going to save this one. It's okay. I don't know what that looks like, but it looks like something. Maybe I'll go back and again later. At least it's simpler. At least I simplified it. And I like that better. I just lightened that a little bit. I like this river or whatever that is flowing through here. And there we go.
The last 4 that you did, was that based on a design or did you do that random?
Which one?
The last 4, these 4 that you just did.
See the stuff that's over to the left?
The left one, right? Yeah,
I wasn't trying to copy those. I was trying to be inspired by those.
Okay, just inspiration then.
Yeah. You know, I saw some orange, I saw some blue, I saw some whatever. And for me, it's always good as a starter if I get stuck doing these, because I don't want to think. I just want to react to something. And it's a kind of a good way to do it. Pick people you like. You say, how do they do that? And it could be for any variety of reasons. It could be because they like the style, or they liked the palette. Could be anything. I actually like that better because it's simpler. Let's put.
Hey, Joe, guys, a question.
Yes.
Do you have a separate water container for that brush that has the Dr. Martens white?
I don't. I use the same water container. In fact, my water's getting pretty dirty, as probably you guys are too, because of the amount of color. I've used a lot of warm and cool colors together to get these. And so these are just suggesting stuff to me. I really like this little guy right here. The mood that suggests to me. And this one is pretty typical. This one I simplified quite a bit. I'm starting to like it better, but not really. But that's okay. Look at, I'm doing a whole page of these, and something's going to happen to one of these. This is a good start. It's not done yet. This is a lot of information going on in that, and that was one of the inspirations from this. I like putting those little trees with the ice on them in there to balance this over here. But it's suggestion. This is what this all is. It suggests stuff. And that's all I'm after is suggestion. It's like all these guys, same thing, are suggestion. This was very simple. It's just that low horizon, this diagonal, that horizontal, and this vertical. That's pretty typical of what you can go back and you can make a bunch of stuff. Here, this is pretty defined. Here, I just like the palette. I like the mood of this one. Especially, I like the palette. That looks like autumn, marshy kind of stuff. Here, this could be this could be flora, fauna, back in your garden. This could be a very tight close-up of a flower. So it all depends on what happens. To balance this off, I lifted out here. Otherwise, that would have been a pretty boring thing. And it's just, you learn so much by doing these guys. I mean, it doesn't take much time, and you get a whole collection of these guys that are pretty interesting.
Joe, do you just want us to do our vignettes while you're painting right now?
Yes, I'm done warming up, so I don't know how you guys are doing. Anyway, these are the same kind of warm-ups, only I had something in mind. This one, actually, you see the one on the lower left, on the left side of the screen?
Mm-hmm.
That glowy kind of orange thing with the yellow spotlight? That was inspiration for this guy.
Oh my God.
What? This guy over here, right there, that was inspiration for this guy. So I didn't copying, it's not the same proportion, it's not any of that. And I think this top one, this was the inspiration for the top one, right here. So that's all you're after, is just to be inspired. I like these little guys. Okay, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna bring this down. You're done warming up. Yeah. Let's do a vertical because it fits on the page. So here's what I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint this guy as a vertical, and I'm going to use this as my design. There's my horizon line. Here's a big mass defined by a value. Here's a mass defined by a value. This is a large mass defined by a value, and so is this. So I have dark midtone, I have midtone, and I have light or light midtone. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. I'm going to paint this one, and while this is drying, then I'm going to tell you about the shapes, okay? Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself.
Are we painting with you?
Yes, you're always painting with me unless you choose to watch.
Okay.
I mean, it's always more fun that way, and it's always better that way because you're going to run into things that you can ask a question about.
And then are we drawing the big shapes?
I'm drawing this guy, and I'm going to use my color erase pencil. And the first thing I'm going to draw is my horizon line going across.
Okay.
That's the very first thing I'm going to draw, and I'm going to put, and it doesn't have to, it has to be pretty close. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to trace it. And so I have a little shape out there. That's that little blue shape. And then I have this big shape, and it comes about in here on the page. I'm looking at it where the reference, and it goes down kind of at an angle like that. And then it goes kind of at an angle like that. I'm not going to draw a bump and a bump. That's going to goof up my big shape. I'm going to make an angle, and then I'm going to make another angle, and then I've got a smaller one coming off of that. And I'll make another angle. And look, I'm almost done. So this big mass is below the horizon. So I'm just going to do that and put that on it. And this one is on the horizon, this shape right here. And that's all I need. And now I can draw some water that represents the water. So here's that yellow, and it goes to some blue, and then it goes back kind of like that. And I can put the people in later. Maybe I'll just put one, maybe, let's see. Maybe I'll put somebody in here. And maybe I'll put somebody here. And there's my my arduous pencil drawing. Now I'm master of the universe, right? I saw all these big shapes, and I don't have to draw any more detail than that. I'm going to clean that up so I can see the shapes better. But that's kind of cool. That kind of looks like my reference, I think. And while you're getting that done, I'm going to run real quick and get some fresh water.
I would like to ask a question. Can you hear me?
I think it's getting water.
In water, I'm back.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, when I look at your reference, the contour line is not straight. And I know you're looking into simplifying, but doesn't it take the same time to draw it straight as to draw it a little bit more of the contour line of the mountain, or whatever rock it is?
You can do that as much as you want. I don't feel the need to do that because I'm going to paint that. If I start drawing too tight, this is me. If I start drawing too tight, I start following the lines. So I want to reserve that for the painting.
Okay.
I want to have the option to be a little freer, I guess, is the way I would say it. So I think from the lines that I have drawn, I've got the big masses in the right places. And in fact, I'm going to use this brush. I'm painting this fairly large, so I'm painting this with this brush, which is inch and a half. I'm going to use this side of my palette as cool, and I'm going to get rid of some of that cool on this one because I want to use that side as warm. And I'm just going to wet. Do I just want to wet the paper? Yeah, I'm just going to wet the paper. And that way I can go down to and not include these guys. So I wet the paper with just clear water, and I'm going to change this already. I'm going to get rid of the color palette. So I've got some of these diagonals coming down, and I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to try this. See what happens here. Well, that's going to be kind of interesting. Why not? This gives me the confidence to start this, and it gives me the confidence to just go for it. And I like what's happening so far. So what I probably will do is I will probably, I think I want that to be a little darker. So let's make that a little darker. See what happens. Up in that corner, because I want the light coming from here, and I could very easily just lift some color right through there. I'm going to lift some paint right through there. Why not? Yikes, I got a lot of orange in that. Let's be daring. Yikes. So what does that make this water? Let's go, let's keep on with that theme of this water being on the warm side. Again, I'm just painting. I'm not thinking.
Then I want this to come down.
That's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll just stop and let this dry a little bit. I think that's pretty good. Pretty fun start. Anybody have any questions while I'm waiting for this to dry a little bit? Already we've used those simple shapes and we've made quite a bit more out of it just by letting the watercolor paint itself and just by being watercolor artists. Somebody asked me about, see this purple down here? I put that on there kind of on purpose for me because I want this, oops, got the wrong color. Because I want this to be, and somebody asked me about this, it's not about the color, it's about the value of the color, okay? So I am going to put some of this purple back here. And that's going to kind of pick that back up. I've got a little bit of that going on now, and that's atmospheric perspective, kind of, sort of, anyway, I think it's fairly dry enough. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to make this a little bluer yet, and I'm just going to put this little guy in here. I think that's going to be dry enough. And so what happens if I start warming a couple of these places up a little bit? I'm just going to use some pretty bold burnt sienna along with that purple. I think those two make kind of a good combination anyway. And I am going to add a little bit more paint to this. It's probably plenty for that rock right there. Let's see, what about this other rock? I've got something going on up here, and I've got kind of that. And it's still kind of wet here, a little bit damp. I think I want to use a bigger brush, cover more area. This is why I just love watercolor. I love all the stuff that it gives you. And I can go back in and I can melt some stuff later on. I can take away, I can add, I can do all these things. And again, I'm concerned about the value. So I'm looking at what I have and I'm looking at the thing that I have on the left. And maybe I could just lift a little bit of what's happening right along here to let that, to let this guy show through a little bit. And I got to let that dry because it's going to get too soft on me. think I'll use this guy. Let's see what we have left in this beach. I think I'm going to use some more of the burnt sienna in that beach to go right over that purple to make it look like wet sand. And that's what I would have done anyway to make it look like wet sand. Once again, I'm doing a suggested landscape, and I'm also indicating and not stating. I think that's important. I'm not trying to. What am I not trying to do? I'm not trying to be literal with this. If I'm looking at this and it starts to look like sand, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to look at my reference and look back and look at my reference and look back and try to emulate all that. I like these shapes that are happening. Now I like it even better. And I think I might like a shape like this coming in. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at some of the shapes. So this is strictly up to your own voice as to what this looks like as palette wise, as far as shape, as far as technique, style. You can make this look like anything you want it to look like. Make your favorite beach. I'm sure it looks very similar to this in a way. And it's just an impression. As I said before, it's a suggestion of based on this graphic landscape. I'm looking at this on the monitor, and I think that's a pretty good example of what you might, how you might explain this. Even though my water is filthy, I'm going to try to take a little of this, my white, and maybe I'll just do a little of that and on top of that rock. And where this is coming down, I kind of like what happened there, just those few little strokes. And I think I'm gonna call that I'm done until it dries out, and then I can go back and look at it again. There's just enough scraping for me. There's just enough wet and wet. There's just enough dry on dry for shapes. I like the palette, and I like the shapes defined by the values. It has a sense of space to me. Any comments?
Beautiful.
Just so beautiful.
I mean, any questions I think would be better than comments.
Yes, I have a question. So in your mind process, first of all, you put all the big shapes in, right?
Yes.
But then you broke them down when you start painting them into smaller shape. And you also had in your mind already where you want to leave white.
Yes. Yes, and yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
when I'm painting those big shapes, what does that big shape consist of? In this case, it's rocks. And in another case, it's water. In another case, it's sand. In another case, it's atmosphere.
okay, and another thing you were considering is because landscape, even the reference, it's a lot of horizontal and vertical and very little diagonal. You added little shapes that gave you the diagonal also. So,
yes.
Okay, so those are all things that we need to consider, right? It's
right. If you'll notice, that's very good. If you'll notice what I did with the sky, I made the sky opposing the diagonal.
Somebody has to mute himself.
Again, I don't know why it does that. I made the sky opposing the diagonals on the rocks. I think you can do better now. I don't know why it's doing that so loudly, but
So the orange is one diagonal, and then the darks on the rocks is the opposite diagonal. Is that what you mean?
well, here's my diagonal. Here's a diagonal, and I want to make this oppose that.
Right.
So it's more interesting. I don't want to make my sky go this way because my rocks are already going that way.
Right.
Going into the rocks, and then that leaves me my horizontals, because water is basically flat. It doesn't have to be blue. And then that leaves me doing a softer granulating thing on the sand and the scraping for the rocks, for the texture. So that's wet and wet. That's pretty rough. That's somewhere in between. So it's those things.
Yeah, I also see that your figures are not dark value like you have in the reference, right? You made them.
They're just shapes. They're just shapes in there. Yes, I changed a lot of stuff from the reference.
Okay.
But if I showed someone this, they would say, "Oh yes, that came from that." And can you see how it came from that? I could render this. I could do this on a cloudy, stormy day. I could do this on a shot like this. I could make the water blue. I could do the surf thing. I could do whatever. I could paint this 6 times and they'd all look different, but they'd all look the same.
Hey, Joe.
And then I would be subjective about, oh, I like blue better than red or whatever. I could be subjective about that, but I could not be subjective about the design because they'll all be very similar. Yes.
Question, please. When you apply your bleed white, do you need to wait for the background to dry, or can you just apply that on top since it's
You
okay?
can put it on anytime you want.
Anytime? Okay.
You guys have painted in water media for a long time, so you can put it on whenever you want. It
Okay.
depends on whether you want it to be soft or harder.
Okay.
So would it change the picture if you added a dot of red to the light colored shirt, the brownish shirt?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay, and then what about adding a little bit of white into that little pool of water on the sand?
Which one? This one?
Yes, that one where you're pointing.
No, that's going off the page. I just want this guy to support this stuff.
Okay,
This isn't taking my eye away from it.
okay.
I personally would not do that, but yes, I could add. Let's do it to her.
Just a spot. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, see, so there, it's done.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. I know I needed help to finish that. I want to thank you for that. That's cool. Okay, and I could put a little highlight.
It added so much to me.
I could put a little highlight on this rock right here, but I don't think I am. I think I'm just going to let that blend. When you start getting fussy, oh, if I just put a little of that, then it's time to just stop. Look at it later. And then you can decide. Yes, one of the things that you suggested here is I love the way this happened. I love that this is hard edge, and I love that this little shape happened. I didn't pencil that out. I didn't intend for that to happen. And I love the way this shape did not happen. Once I take, once I erase this pencil, my color erase, look at that. It erased pretty well. Once I erase that, I love that. I love that that doesn't have an edge. It just is soft. Kind of cool. Makes it kind of glowy. Okay. You
Wait, I
have
want
it.
a picture.
I'm sorry.
I need to take a picture of the finished one.
I'm going to take pics of this and put it in our cluster folder. Kind of a before and after. Anyway, let's take like a 5-minute break. I'm going to get some more fresh water and we're going to do another one. And before we do that, I want to show you something about shapes.
Okay.
But I think this is a pretty good example of what I'm after. What I'm trying to communicate.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now that you guys have got the idea, I think, I'm going to go back. I think you have the idea. See how I just love watercolor for this reason, because this is what it gives you. And I love graphic too, but I like what watercolor gives you from the art side. When I say that, I'm talking about, I guess, from the fine art side. So let me get out of this for a second. I'm going to stop the share and go back and see how everybody's doing. How we all doing? Doing okay?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Good. Okay. Now, my next thing is, now that we've done one of these based on this graphic that I've supplied, I want to show you how you can supply it, or at least I hope, because my assignment to my classes were, now that they have done this, I want to help them try to figure out how to do it for themselves. So their assignment was to find 4 to 6 major shapes in photographs that they have taken and squirreled away in their I have to paint this someday file,
Okay.
and see if they can figure out the shapes. So I'm going to go back to screen share, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. And one of those is based on, by the way, for those of you who are new to the workshop, I use everything I can to communicate, and that means videos from whoever I think says it well, or Pinterest, YouTube, workshops, I don't care. Anyway, I want to show you something from Matt Smith. Some of you who are familiar with landscape and oil, and it doesn't make any difference. It's a piece of art. Here's what I'm talking about. So here's a photograph. Pretend that's your photograph. How am I going to break this down? And here's the key. I have to make 4 to 6 major shapes out of this to make any sense for me. And I can't do it by getting out my, oh, I got a bunch of rocks here and I got a bunch of weeds and grass here and bushes and all this stuff happening. The only simple part about this is the sky. So let's start with, and this is from something that he did, Tucson Art Academy online. They did a little presentation about this. So here's what he did and I'm sharing. So in most cases, if you do landscapes, you have a sky and that's going to be a shape all by itself, unless it's reflected in the water. And then it's going to be part of the sky because it's part of the reflection. So I could look at this way and I can see this. I'm not looking at color, I'm looking at values. What shapes are darkest? What shapes are mid-tone? What shapes are lightest? And if you have an issue doing that, then you could do a black and white version, right? I'm going to stay with the color version, and you could also do that with black and white. Okay. So here's what he did, and here's how he breaks it down. When he starts a painting, this has got a bunch of detail in it. And he doesn't start with that. He'll pick a what I want to say, a mix, a color, a blend of what that beige kind of color and this burnt sienna kind of color and this greeny olive drabby kind of color and this blue. It doesn't make any difference whether it's gradated now or not. And, hello? Did everybody get that? So here's what I did. I went from here to, why don't I just move this? I went from here to here. Oh, I should have left it up. I'm going to have an issue now. Here's what I did. And I did this in a program that I use every day. It's called Adobe Illustrator. So I made all these shapes. I just used one of the tools and I made this shape and I made that shape and I made that shape. And if you look at these, they're all kind of different values. This is my lightest, this is my darkest. This is a little darker than the lightest, but not so much. This is a light mid-tone. This is a mid-tone, so on and so forth. So there are my shapes. And it's just what we did with this beach scene, right? We just made this look like rocks and made this shape look like bushes, and made this shape look like road and whatever. And in fact, I could go back and I added something to it. I, as a designer, I put a cowboy riding a horse down that wash, down that road. And it's, for me, it's in the right place, rule of thirds, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's how I figured out the shapes. Here's another one that he had. And this is, wow, how the hell do I do that one? Jeez, it's not fair. It's too complicated. Well, I see a shape in the sky. I see this as a shape, distant hills. I see this bluff as a shape. I see these trees as a shape. And then when I get down into here, I'm simplifying it with my eyes. I'm seeing this value and this value as a shape, and this value, these rocks, exposed rocks, as a shape. So here's what he did with it. You see where I'm going with this? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So anyway, that's how you do it. And you can't say, well, this is a shape. Well, it's a shape within a shape. That's where you asked me about someone asked me about all the little shapes inside. That's fine. I can paint all those little shapes inside. That's a fair question. So I want to show you how I got to this one. This is a painting that I've been using for class example. And I also put this on in the reference file in cluster because I like the photo. And so here's what, whoops, not that one. Not that one. It's this one, I think. Yep. So here's what I did with it. Yes, I did it. I found the shapes. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
And that's how I painted it. I painted this wet and wet sky to start with, and then I painted light to dark, my usual watercolor. I used some of this blue in these rocks, and I painted this whole shape, this bluey kind of color. Then I painted these bluffs, which was the next lightest. And then I painted the beach. And then I started painting the trees on the bluff. And in the meantime, I was doing these rocks, rocky guys. But those are my basic shapes. And another way I could get to that was by doing this. And I did the same thing. So those are my shapes. That's how I kind of want you not to, when I say squint your eyes, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, go to squint your eyes. Yeah, right. So anyway, I can see the shapes and I can see these colors, and I could have done this just as easily in grayscale, but those are my shapes. Those are my big shapes to paint to. And this was one example of how that turned out. And this was another example. I painted this twice. So I painted it exactly the same way. I painted wet and wet, and I put some of that color over here, and I let it peek through. I thought that was important to get a little peek through for the sky to go behind. And then I painted this bluff and in the warm raw sienna kind of colors. And then I used some purple, and because I used the purple in the beach. I painted a raw sienna and purple together for that wet sand kind of look, and then on and on. So that's how I figured out how to paint that painting. And I think I put this one in the reference folder too. So now you guys can see how I actually saw this scene. Once I figured out what am I doing. Once I saw this and saw these shapes in there, then I did this. These little guys and these little guys right here are just, I embellished it so I didn't forget. Oh yeah, there's some driftwood lumber up on there, and these are rocks. So, but that was what I was painting to. This is what inspired me, and these are the shapes I started out with. So this is really, really, really important to me that everybody gets this, because this is kind of sort of what this workshop's about. And this will work for any subject. I don't care whether it's a still life. I don't care whether it's a floral. I don't care what it is. What are they? What are they all made up of? They're all made up of shapes. And what are those shapes defined by? They're defined by value, not color, value. Okay. Is everybody with me? Yes. Yes. Good. And that's it. Hey, Deb, how are you? I get to see you. Hi. You're on the second page, so I don't get to see you. Anyway, we're going to paint these other two guys. And you don't have to paint them a tight, because I want you to paint both of them. So you can just do them smaller. I'm going to do two at a time on the same kind of page. So I'm going to go back to screen share now, and we'll go back to this guy, and yay, freshwater. I will go back to this guy. Oops, that's my last page. How about that? I ought to buy stock in a paper company. Anyway, let's just paint two on this page. This is a 9x12 pad. I lost my tape. That's the reason I couldn't think. So. You know, everybody talks about this stuff, but I still have yet to find a YouTube thing. Marco Bucci did one on shapes that was pretty good. But it wasn't this. Everybody just says squint your eyes.
Milton Avery did it.
Great. I remember him.
Not a video.
Yeah, I know. That was pre-video. Anyway, that's what I do when I paint these guys. I make up shapes. This diagonal shape, this wedge right here balanced this dark over here. And then I had something bridging it right there. So you're doing those little guys, you'll get better and better and better at it. No better. Okay, the ones I'm doing are these guys. And I'll put those up to the side just in case you don't have those or you haven't got cluster yet. I recommend it. I don't have to make these very big because they're pretty simple, aren't they? That's the whole point. Let the watercolor do the work. I'm going to move that over to here. Yes, and you can almost see that. So once again, I'm going to just use my pencil and I'm going to raise the horizon line. So I'm going to do this guy and I'm going to raise the horizon line up to there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom one because I think the beach is more interesting. Up here I have something going out about that far and then something on top of that and then something over there. So that's my really fabulous drawing, huh? And then I see that this diagonal is coming in here and it's kind of a different angle from this guy. This is a steeper angle and it's kind of goes to a wedge right there. And then I've got something happening here. I'm changing that, by the way, because I can, because I master the universe. And I'm going to make I'm going to try to make a better beach. Anyway, there's my fabulous drawing. I love this. Makes my drawing so much simpler. So here's this guy comes over to about not halfway, more than halfway, or less than halfway. And I don't know what this is back here, but I'm going to make it be that. And there's my horizon line. And then I've got this point right here. It's not in the middle. It comes about to here. So I'm going to make my big sweepy S-curve. And then I'm going to make another one. And then I'm going to make another one. And then maybe even one more. And then I've got this rock coming in there. So that's kind of cool. That looks like energy, man. That's a pretty interesting design. And I could have something up here to balance all this stuff. Maybe I'll have a cloud or something up here. I don't know. And maybe this time I'm still going to put trees up here. I don't like that being a city necessarily. I'll put another rock right here. There we go. Look at those stellar drawings. And I can almost paint these at the same time because maybe I'll be able to take advantage of a palette. And And I don't have to paint these in these colors, right? As we just saw. Okay, I think everybody can see. Yep. Yep, yep. Oh, we'll paint the top one first. Top to bottom, heaven to earth. Okie dokie. I'm going to use an inch angled flat. I like flat brushes because I come from the illustration side, and hardly any commercial artist used round brushes in the day because they were doing a lot of product stuff. So I'm just going to make a stroke and scrub around a little bit, and maybe I'll make that sky a little more interesting by putting some dark over here. And maybe I will put some of my orange, which I have left on my palette, over here. It's kind of fun. And I think I will just do a little lift. And I'm done. I can always go back and lift that later if I want. I'm going to start off with more of a ultramarine back here. More of a red purple, in fact. It's kind of cool already. I like that. When I miss a stroke, I like it. And I'm going to start bluing it up as I get to here. I'm using the side of the brush just for some sparkle on that water. And that kind of looks watery to me already. Going to go back. For me, this painting this is just like painting the little color play things. Kind of cool, kind of interesting. Let that soften out right along that edge. And now I have this. By the way, I've been hooked on Shetland, which is on Netflix during our lockdown. It's fabulous for the landscape. It's in Wales. I'm just making some shapes in here, not paying much attention to I think I want this to be a little darker. I'm using all this excess color on my palette here. I don't know what that is, but I know that's got to be darker. So I'm going to add a little blue to here. Yeah, that'll make that light work better. And this side of the I want this to connect, so that's going to go up into and over. Hey, we got a little something going on here, huh? Fun. So let me go to a smaller brush. I'm going to use, I'm going to neutralize this. I'm using some blue and some brown. Oh, I better do the back of it first. What's wrong with me? Light to dark, dummy. So I'm going to put this guy back here. Now I can put the dark on top. Well, I could do some negative painting up here in the corner if I wanted to. That would be kind of cool, actually. Sometimes it works. Okay. So all I did was follow those shapes. I drew that very simply, didn't I? And now I'm just painting it just like one of those little warm-ups. Well, I wish I could paint big like this. By the way, have you guys been using rosemary brushes? Is anybody using rosemary brushes? They're really good.
Yes, they're really good. And they're not very expensive and they come right away.
I know. That's the amazing part. It's almost like the brush guy.
Where are you ordering them from? Because I
Rosemary and Company out of England,
Oh,
or you can buy them at GraphicWCworkshop.
I know. I haven't gone over there yet.
Yeah.
On my way home.
Anyway, can you guys see this came from this?
Yeah.
Or you can see it on your screen. What am I talking about? So those are fun. I could add some more stuff to the water out here, but I think I'm just going to leave that alone. And I like this dry brush that's happening in here to give that texture of those waves. And I like the white shapes that I left out here and this kind of fog and this kind of warm coming in to this. I could pick that color up a little bit in here, I guess. It would make kind of sense, but let's not do that yet. Let's look at that for a few minutes. We'll give it a few minutes. So let's paint this guy.
Very nice.
I'm gonna go get some water real quick again and clean my palette while you guys are up your suggested landscape. I like that. Suggested landscape. Or suggested still life.
So maybe we should approach everything as a warm-up.
Absolutely. Don't think. What do you do when you warm up? You don't think, you just paint. You're just warming up. You got a built-in excuse, right?
Yep. Yep.
So don't think, just paint.
Yep. Leave the room.
I want to see something here.
Hey, Joe, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why would that work as a large painting, and why might it not work as a large painting?
It's hard for me to paint this way large. Number one, because of the physics, the paint doesn't work as well large as it does small. All these things that happen. I'm gonna stop share for a second and show you what I mean by that. So let me, I was gonna do this later, but I'm gonna do it right now. Okay, here's an example. Debbie, are you there? I wanna make sure that you see this.
I'm here.
Okay, this guy right here, look how big this is. This is pretty small, right? This guy right here.
Yep.
And that's been one of my favorites, and that was from the Imaginaries part. So these are 6 by 4 inches. So here's my answer to what Gary just said. Here's my answer.
Oh, that came out great.
So
Did you actually paint that, Joe? Or did,
this is Asia clay. This is
Yeah.
a 30 by 40.
Wow.
I can't paint. Look at this stuff that happens. I can't paint that. That happens
So
because
that's a clay from the 4x6?
you can get them any size you want. You can get
I
them any,
know, 4x6 image. Wow.
any proportion you want.
Yeah. Wow.
Has to be Victor.
Anyway,
Did you-
That's really
after
fantastic.
decades of trying, I've given up. See this
Did
guy?
you have to shoot that with a really good camera, or did you do it with your iPhone?
I did it with my iPhone. See this guy right here?
My
Yeah, I
God.
love that one.
Yeah. Because like, okay. That's right. You can never get granulation like that big. Never. Look at that.
Wow.
Woo.
Dramatic.
Come
Yeah.
closer.
Well,
If I had my epitaph painting, that's what I'm calling it. My epitaph painting. We all have one. It
Yeah.
changed, but we all have one.
Well, I was talking about a half-size watercolor sheet.
And yes, by doing this, you'll save a lot of money on paper. But you'll spend it all on making these prints. I was going to get some clean water before you interrupted me, Gary.
Sorry.
So I'm going to get some clean water. And we'll paint one more.
Really amazing.
Amazing, amazing, huh?
Yeah. So inspiring.
makes it look so easy.
Oh,
I know.
always.
One thing to remember, I think, is that Joe is not a harsh critic of himself, or if he is, he's not showing that part.
I think that helps. Huh?
Yeah, I think most of us judge ourselves so
Exactly.
harshly.
We're harsh on ourselves.
I haven't even put anything up in my house. Nothing's good enough.
Oh, what?
Oh,
I've been painting for
really?
years.
I frame my paintings.
You know, you guys know Thomas Schaller,
Yes.
and he always used to say that he would never put anything he painted up in his house because he would only see the mistakes.
Yeah.
So
Really?
terrible.
Well, that's true too. You know,
Yeah.
when I look at the painting, oops, sometimes I have to take it out of the frame. And it's so hard for watercolor because there's backing and all that. So that's so true.
Sometimes though, I think that if we are good in some other kind of an art, we already have a good eye, and we don't have the talent yet in watercolor to how good our eye is.
Well, that can be.
That's how I feel I am. I feel I have a really good eye for balance and stuff because I was a hairdresser and a hair colorist, but
Yeah.
I don't have the talent yet in watercolor. So
Yeah, it's
Interesting point.
it's just doing stuff. A lot of people have good eyes.
uh-huh,
I mean, they can see shapes, they can see design,
right.
they know what they like. You know, you can tell it in architecture, you can tell it in furniture, apparel, all that stuff, all the same stuff.
Right.
It's all design. Okay, let's take this guy. Oh, I forgot. You guys can't see anything except me.
Right.
Like you, it's okay.
Yikes. Yuck. Okay, let me go back to share. Okay, now we can see. And we'll paint the top guy. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Because my reference over here is flopped from this. Anyway, so we'll paint this guy right here. And when I painted this one before, which was actually this one, That's cobalt teal and quinacridone burnt orange.
Aha,
Ah, so maybe I'll see if I can find that.
Now you're telling us your color.
Quinacridone burnt orange. Oh, I do have it. Aha. So I'm going to squeeze some of that out. I like this color. I don't know why I have it, but I like it.
I love that color with purple too.
I think somebody was doing a color play and they used those colors.
I did.
So those are kind of cool colors. So let's start off with kind of a neutrally kind of sky, huh? So I'm going to use some brown and some blue. And I'm going to warmer, a warm neutral. So I'll put some more brown in it. I'm going to paint it kind of sort of, both of these kind of sort of the same way as the reference. I'm not going to drift too far away from it, just so you can see the difference, how what watercolor makes.
Which red do you usually use with the blues to make your brown?
Which brown?
Which color like red do you use?
I use burnt sienna and ultramarine for a lot of my two color stuff.
Oh, so you don't need a brown then, okay.
These are all burnt sienna and ultramarine.
Oh, okay.
And these were all burnt sienna and ultramarine.
Burnt sienna and ultramarine.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you can get this great dark, and you can bias it cool or bias it warm, cool, warm. It's a really good combination. I'm sure there's a lot of people who use that. Anyway, there's going to be my my sky, and let's use that cobalt teal. I want to do that. I can't wait to use cobalt teal. While this is still wet, I'm going to put some of this in here just for fun. And this is where the water comes in. And so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do that. And that. So there's kind of my, there's kind of my water coming in so far. And I know I'm going to have some of that color coming back in here. Might as well just put that in. And I don't care anything about this rock yet, so I might as well cover that up. And let's see what we can get out of this
You're not doing wet and wet, right?
Huh?
You're not doing wet and wet.
No, I'm doing wet on dry.
Yeah,
That's how I start most of this stuff. So let's do this big sweep. And I want something interesting in here. So let's, oh, that's kind of interesting. I'm gonna take this rock and do something with it too. I'm gonna mix some of that teal and that burnt orange together to do something here. Good Lord, this board is squeaky.
What dark did you just drop in there?
I had some blue left from the other painting up here, so I just used that. I just want a dark. I just want to make it dark. I want to make it that dark.
Joe, for the umpteenth time, what is the brand and size of the paper you're using right now?
Oh, it's just Strathmore. It's just one of those little demo pads I get at the store. But get the brown. I do a
Okay.
zillion of these, so I want the brown.
All right, thank you.
Strathmore.
Look how beautifully that scrapes back to that color that was underneath.
come your mountains are not bleeding into your ocean and the mountains are not bleeding into the plain there?
Because I'm special.
Because you don't put as much water as me, I guess.
Yeah,
Getting all
yeah,
kinds of
yeah.
bleeding.
I'm special. It's just, I just let the paper dry out a little bit more. That's all. Well, that's different than the other one, but oh, let's do this. I got to do this one. So this one. Those two scrapes made a big difference. And the best part for me, a lot of the times, is as you're working on one part of the painting, even though this is a small painting, something else is happening on another part that you've already painted on, and it's doing its thing. It's bleeding, or it's kind of doing its thing. Yep. Now I can take a little white paint if I want. And I'll say, okay, I just wanted a little touch of that. That's a big deal right there. Maybe that's all it needs. I'll leave it alone now. And this guy, I could put a little, here we go. Look at that little wave breaking on that rock. Kind of cool. Ooh, okie. So from that to that. That's pretty cool. I don't care what you guys say. I think that's pretty cool.
It's good, it's good.
And anybody can do this. They got to start with something like this, which makes sense.
Not my dog.
Well, we got a good day.
Yes, indeed.
We got stuff done.
Joe?
Yes,
Yes, well, I was just checking to see if you're going to still show that little 6-minute video.
I am right now. That's why I'm getting out of there.
All right, thank you. Been great. This has been just super. Thank you.
Well, I hope I've clarified or at least simplified some issues that we all go through.
Yes, you have.
Find your own.
Okay, I'm gonna make this full screen. Oops, it's actually less. It's 5 minutes and 46 seconds, and then we will have a show and tell or cluster or whatever. Anyway, I'll share this. I'll share this with you guys. I thought this was pretty good. And then if you like her, she has other videos too.
Good morning. I wanted to pop in for this week's studio notes to talk to you about finding our own unique artist voice. I'm teaching a course at the moment where this is the primary topic of what we're discussing and learning. And I had a call last night with the students on the course, and we talked a lot about this idea of how to find your own unique voice, how to express something unique in your art. And it's a very common fear among artists that they don't have a unique artist voice, and that if they try and express something unique, they're going to be disappointed. So what I wanted to say today is that the only thing stopping you from expressing your unique voice are all the other voices in your head. The ones that say can't, the ones that say shouldn't, the ones that remind you of rules from some long ago teacher, and recall the voices of people who have said in the past that you don't have enough talent or that they don't like your work. And then there are the outside voices, the opinions of friends and family, or even strangers on the internet. Why on earth do we let strangers on the internet change how we feel? But we do. We post something that we love and it doesn't get much of a reaction, or even worse, someone says something a little bit mean and we just feel punctured. We try to paint an abstract perhaps, and someone says abstract art isn't real art, and we instantly feel that we should, go back to something else. Or we try a portrait and someone says, well, that looks nothing like so-and-so. And after that, some of us stop painting. So the voice that whispers, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to think you can do this? That voice gets louder and louder and we give up. Or maybe we don't give up completely, but maybe we go back into our safe little box. So people like it when we paint flowers, so we go back to painting flowers. But really what we want to paint is wild abstracts. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to paint flowers. In fact, some of the most beautiful art in the world is paintings of flowers. But that's if that's what you really want to do. If what you really want to do is something else, then painting flowers can feel like a prison. We tell ourselves at that point that the worst thing in the world is to fail, is to be seen to fail by other people with our work, when really the worst thing in the world is to have not lived fully, to have not done what we really wanted to do with our painting. And often at this point we get stuck because we're not doing anymore what our soul is calling us to do. We're feeling this pull to make a certain kind of art, but we're afraid to. And in refusing that call, we're pushing away the most honest and real part of ourselves. And that's when we get stuck. See, because we start avoiding the paints and we start avoiding the brushes, and we shut the door on that place where we used to work. And the longer we stay away, the harder it gets to go back in again. If you've watched me this far, there's something inside you that wants to do more, be more, create something that feels more like you. If there wasn't, you would have turned this off and gone back to doing whatever you were doing before. And if this applies to you, what I want to say is, do not listen to the negative voices, the ones in here and the ones out there. Do not ask for permission. Do not seek approval. Sit quietly and try to picture the kind of art you would love to make. Really picture it. Is it big and bold and loud? Is it delicate? Is it peaceful? Is it on a big scale? Is it really small? It will be different for everybody, but sit quietly and close your eyes and really try to imagine it. And then go get paints and brushes and paint just for you. Promise yourself not to share with anyone for a few months, for a few weeks, for however long you feel comfortable. Paint as if no one is watching, because they don't have to be watching. And just see what happens and what comes out when you do that. It's so exciting to set off on this journey to explore yourself. But the only way to do it is to not give a damn what anybody else thinks. The minute that you start caring what anybody else thinks, you shut down parts of what you be open and free. So that's my challenge to you this week. So there ends today's sermon. I shall see you all.
Don't think, just paint. There you go. There's the end of my sermon. Don't think, just paint.
What's her name again, please?
I love that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to that too. She's got other videos on there about confidence and about something else and something else. And whatever, but I think her name's Louise Fletcher, but I don't know who. That's not what her channel is. It's paint with something. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Do we have any clusters or do we have any holdups? I think I've shown you mine. Okay, Lee. Let me add a spotlight. Let me do a spotlight on Lee and let me get rid of mine. And there we go. Oh, look at that. By Cracky.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it fun to paint that that size because you can't get bogged down? Anyway, I like painting that. I like painting small because and using big brushes, and I've said that forever. Paint small, you big brushes.
Yes.
Brush.
Good. I enjoyed it.
I'm sorry.
I just say I enjoyed it. I learned a lot.
Good. Well, start trying to do that 4 to 6 major shapes on some of your photos. And don't try to get too cute with it. I mean, just because it's got, don't do form, do a shape. All forms have light and shadow in it. Don't try to go there. Just do the big shape. So, okay, let me remove your spotlight and go to another view. Anybody else? Oh, there you go, Cheryl.
Yes, go ahead, from South Dakota.
I'm gonna, oh, there you go. Wow. Look at
Wow. Wow.
Great.
nice color.
Yeah.
Nice and clean. Wow. And look at those people work too. Cool.
Wonderful, Cheryl.
Thank you all. It was fun. It was just so much fun.
Good.
Beautiful.
Learned a lot.
Okay, who else? I'm back to the gallery. Oh, okay, Elena. Let me do that. Oh, look, another one.
Wow, that's
Wow, that's
amazing.
beautiful.
You guys are all sandbaggers. What are you doing? Should be teaching workshops.
Whoa, that
Wow.
turned out great.
Isn't that amazing what you can make out of that graphic? Just by painting in watercolor. That's just like, oh, that's cool. How does that happen? Let me go back to gallery. And who else? Oh, there's somebody holding something up. Hang on a second. Oh, there's Deb. Hey, Deb.
Back.
Oh,
Back off a
nice.
little bit.
Back.
Hold it back away from the camera a little bit more. You're too close. You're too close.
Way.
Not forward.
There you go. Yeah, somewhere in there. Cool. Yeah, see? Oh, I love this. I love the burnt orange and the cobalt teal. Doesn't that work? That works great. Aren't these fun?
Yes.
Especially the little guys. Especially the little guys. Cool. Okay, hang on, somebody else. Mona. Okay, we'll get to everybody. Don't worry. Oh, there you go.
Wow, I love that.
You guys are all powerful painters. Look at there's no wishy-washy about any of
That's
these.
abstract, beautiful.
Joe, this was really good for me.
Oh, good. And I don't care, again, I don't care what you paint. It's how you paint. You can paint anything because what are they? They're all shapes. I'm a shape, you're a shape, all that stuff. So,
Right.
okay, there's
Zoni.
hang on, Zoni, I see you. Replace spotlight. Let me,
Nice. Wow.
there we go.
Oh, God, that was
You had a lot of
Beautiful.
painting done, didn't you?
This is the studies, right?
I don't know. Wait a minute. Well, I don't know where you went. Hang on. There we go. Okay. We got you back. We got you back. Very cool. And you learned a lot by doing these just about shapes. You know, you learn more about how to paint watercolor by doing these little guys than anything. Because timing, wet and wet, wet on dry, dry on dry, all those things apply.
Oh God.
wow, that's
Nice.
wonderful.
You guys were all prolific painters today.
Well, before we started the class, because I looked at your references, I made this.
There
Oh,
you go.
wow.
Oh, cool.
I like that. You
There's-
separated the images.
I see the shapes defined by values.
Yeah,
Zoni, you were up.
but maybe there were too many. I don't know.
Oh, very good.
Pretty.
Isn't that,
Very
isn't that great what happens when watercolor paints shape
I got,
into something?
you even see these?
Shape. Is that shape sky or is that shape rock or grass or cloth or whatever?
Yeah, grass on the bottom, but I don't
Could
think
be anything. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Nice.
Okay.
Does this show? You
I'm
see?
Yeah, Susan, love that.
Anybody else on the first page? I'm going to the second page.
Oh,
Or
Do you
maybe
even see?
first page. Oh, okay. Martha and Susan. I'll get to you. I'll do Martha first. Oh, Sue. I'll do Sue first, Sue Fogelson, and then we'll go top to bottom. Oh, wow. Boy, you have a style.
Wow.
That looks like your style. Pretty cool.
Funny how it's backwards. Makes you look sick. Makes me kind of sick looking at it. Totally backwards.
Oh,
We see it right. We see it the right way.
No, but it's a mirror image.
We see it.
we're seeing
I
it.
see it with the,
It's like looking in the mirror.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you guys post some of these on Cluster if you want.
I
Yeah,
did.
we'll work on it.
Yeah, you can work on it and you can also put it up and take it down. So
Oh,
let me go back to, and Pat was next. I'm just going to go top row on down. Hang on, Mary. Hang on, Martha. Here's Pat.
Mhm.
There's Pat. There's, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so you did that. Oh, there are your little guys.
Wow, nice.
I can see where they came from and that you've taken advantage of painting in watercolor. Yay. Okay, Mary. Let me replace that. Oh, cool.
Wow. Gorgeous.
You guys know all the tricks.
Wow.
Scraping and the wet and wet and oh, look at how powerful that is.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
One more.
I like the oh, wow. you guys did a lot of work today.
Of the colors.
Very cool.
Fun.
Okay, back to who else? Susan.
Susan. Oh, is that hers? Oh.
Susan, and then I'll get to you, Virginia. Oh, there
these
you go.
little ones.
I love the way you use your brush. You are a very shape painter. You are.
God, I love that red and orange.
Then then this one, I don't know, this one got,
Wow.
That's really dramatic.
Yes,
That's
that's
about
beautiful.
20 minutes after the one I painted as the
Yep.
sun was going down.
yep. And then last but not least, here, whoa.
Oh, cool.
wow.
Oh,
Wow.
water down.
Very cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you are definitely a shape painter. I love it.
Graphic.
Yep,
You're
the
already a graphic. You look at things graphically, so cool.
do, thank you, but this was so,
Were you up?
I love this class, Joe.
Yeah, when is the next one, please?
I haven't even gotten that far. I'm just trying to get to the end of the year. Ollie, how about you?
Yeah, precisely.
There you go, Ollie. You're up. Cool.
Nice.
Look at the white paper you guys left. That's great. You can always go back later, but it's hard to get it back. And that's the reason I also like using white opaque because I have the confidence or the freedom to go ahead and I don't have to think. I can just go blah, 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 because I know I can use some white paint later. Oh, there you go. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Good shapes.
that was really good.
Okay, who is left? let's go to Susan.
Which Susan?
Susan Kelly. I think we already did Susan.
Yep. Yep.
Wow,
That's
I'd say
pretty.
that's my most successful.
Oh,
Isn't that great? Look at how the watercolor,
oh
blooms,
God,
granulates.
beautiful colors.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who would have thought that you would have painted that from that piece of reference?
I like this lesson even better than the last one because I don't have to use my imagination so much.
Is that Arteza? Is that the Arteza paper?
Not as much work, huh? Okay.
Exactly. Like, I think we should have had this one first.
No, this leads, I think the other one led right into this one.
Okay. I'm loving the lessons and I want to know what we're doing next too.
Okay, anybody, Virginia? Did we do Virginia? So let me do Virginia and let me remove this. There we go. Oh, look at that. You guys worked a lot.
Very nice.
You guys
Always look better on the screen.
Yeah, okay. I know. That's why I always like them looking at them small. They always look better small unless I blow them up with the Giclée thing. Very cool.
Thanks for the lecture. It was great fun.
Good. I'm going to see if anybody else, shout out if anybody else, I missed anybody. Laurel, you're holding something up, so I'm going to say, okay, let's look at Laurel. Cool.
Pretty.
Nice.
Look at all these nice little sparklies you got in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool. I like little sparklies.
Yeah, they're fun.
Joey Z, Joseph Zabukovich calls them staccato notes. Yes. Very cool.
Using rough paper or no?
No, just 140-pound
Yeah.
arches.
Cold press.
Oh, well, thank you all. I hope you all have a great holiday. We'll figure out something fun. to do,
Thank you, Joe. It was great.
Thank you, Joe.
Well,
Wonderful class. Thank you.
There's
Thank
two
Thank
things
you.
to emphasize next year is drawing and framing. And what I mean by framing is, I'm going to share my screen real quick for a second. Again, what I mean by framing is, and I don't think I have it anymore. Here it is. I found it. What I mean by framing is this, I didn't do this, but this is an example. These are those little things we just got done painting. So this artist is exploring different ways to do, it looks like Sri Lanka or someplace exotic. Anyway, this is framing. The branches hanging overhead and the bushes or rocks in the foreground. So we could take that same thing and make it look tropical by using palm fronds, or we could make it an oak tree, or we could do several things. We could make it vines. Anyway, so that plus drawing. And by the way, to leave you with this, when I said I was a designer more than anything, this is for you, Debbie, because you're still there, and I know you've seen this. I thought this was amazing art. And that's Dean Mitchell. And Dean Mitchell is known for painting. This way. So again, I'm back to the discovery phase. This is what I like doing the best. This is what he's known for, and landscapes, kind of desolate landscapes. But I thought this was outstanding.
Wow.
Looking at it, I didn't see her head. It looked like a bird it looked like a special chair.
Yeah, it's
Now I get it.
design. And it's very
Beautiful.
emotional. I don't know whether this is a good or a bad. Is she exhausted from just giving the performance of her life, or is she just intimidated by starting? I don't know. That's what's so cool about it.
It's emotional is what it is. It's great.
Anyway, I
And
just
it's
thought I'd share that with you guys.
great.
Very nice.
So I'm going to post this stuff on Cluster that we did
Mhm.
today. And I will send you all those links. Plus, it's going to probably be late today, probably tomorrow, that I'm going to have a link to the video.
Oh, because we're all going to be running out of town, so you better do it quick.
What?
Where are we going?
Kidding.
I'm